Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman, and I teach biology and AP biology at Murray High School in Murray, Kentucky. And here we are, Unit 1 of AP Biology, looking at 1.2 Elements of Life. Notice this picture if you're a fan of a cartoon called Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they deal with the elements, water, earth, fire, air, and all those things. These aren't really elements. For years, though, they thought they were. They thought these were the things that all things were made out of, and so they kind of formed the elements of life. However, we know that's not to be true nowadays, so we're going to look at those actual elements. Here they are. Well, there's obviously more than these elements in living things, but these are oftentimes considered the essential elements of living things. I like to use the acronym SPONCH, SPONCH, in order to show that. Carbon is probably the most prevalent as far as mass-wise in elements. Oxygen, hydrogen are right up there as well. And then nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur sort of form out the most important elements based on how they're used in the different macromolecules that we're going to learn about as we go throughout this unit. So what we're going to do today, we're going to kind of look at these different elements, each one, and kind of talk about their main purpose and look at their function in living things, look at a few examples as well. Carbon, very important in living things. Carbon forms the backbone of organic molecules, and it does this due to its ability to form 4 covalent bonds, up to 4 covalent bonds with other atoms. So you see over here, this carbon is forming 4 different bonds around it. You will see this called carbon's tetravalence. Tetra is 4. Valence concerning the 4 valence electron areas that the carbon molecule has, or the 4 valence electrons. And so it's able to take up 4 other spots. And so when I say covalent bonds, remember I'm talking about sharing electrons. And so it's able to share electrons with 4 other areas. Now, this can take a couple of forms. Notice here, this carbon has 4 different things it's touching, but this carbon here only has 1 other thing, or 2 other things that it's touching, because it's touching this carbon 3 times. So sometimes it can have double bonds, like you see here, and triple bonds even. But what makes carbon so versatile is its ability to form those bonds. And so, as you can see, lots of different shapes. And as we're going to learn throughout this class, one of the most important things you'll learn in this class, probably like top 5 most important things you'll learn in this class, is that the shape of a molecule, the shape of an organelle, the shape of just about anything is going to determine its function. And carbon allows for versatility of structure, which is going to make it very important. Hydrogen, very prevalent in molecules. Forms bonds with carbon a whole lot, and a lot of times you'll see these called hydrocarbons, hence the name, hydrogen, carbon. And hydrocarbons represent a lot of energy. This gives structure, stability to organic molecules. Water, of course, has hydrogen in it, as you can, we've talked about H2O yesterday, or in 1.1. That was yesterday for me, may not have been for you. It's important in the formation of hydrogen bonds, which are very essential to living things. Remember, we talked about the polar bonds, and 2 different polar molecules form hydrogen bonds with one another. So hydrogen, an essential element. You'll see it pretty much filling out a lot of elements and molecules that we're going to be looking at in this class. They sort of like fill the void. It's very important, but it seems like a filler almost, right? And so we'll talk more about those as we talk about the different kinds of macromolecules. Oxygen's next. Oxygen is very important. Living things can't live without oxygen, or most living things. Some living things can live without it. So it's required for cellular respiration, which we're going to talk about in another unit. It's required for water, obviously a necessary component of H2O. And it is found in all of the types of macromolecules that we're going to be talking about. So it's a very important molecule. It's very attractive to electrons, or it has a high electronegativity, which gives it some certain qualities like polarity that we're going to look at, and that comes a very important role in cellular respiration as well. Oxygen, important component in most living things. Now, nitrogen. hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon are sort of ubiquitous, right? They're all over the place. So once we get into these last three, they're going to be more specialized, right? Nitrogen is only found in two of the macromolecules that we're going to look at. It's found in proteins, which here's a picture of an amino acid. We're going to learn later that proteins are made up of building blocks called amino acids. And one of the ways that you can identify an amino acid is by seeing this nitrogen here on this amine group, which we're going to talk about later. Nucleic acids also have nitrogen in them. These are called nitrogenous bases, so literally nitrogenous bases, right? And because they have nitrogen in them. You will not find nitrogen in a carbohydrate. You will not find nitrogen in a lipid. And so when it comes to like identifying a molecule, nitrogen is going to be the way that you say it's either a protein or a nitrogenous base. Of course, we're going to come up with ways to determine whether or not it's a protein or nitrogenous base later. Nitrogen, very important as building blocks for both proteins and nitrogenous bases. Phosphorus is next. Phosphorus is an inorganic sort of, it's found in like rocks and that sort of thing. And it's very important for a couple of cellular components. Here you have a phosphate group, a PO4. It's a very negative sort of molecule. It's very important in the formation of DNA, nucleic acids. So phosphorus is found in nucleic acid. It is not found in proteins. It is not found in carbohydrates, and it is not found in lipids. And so usually you know you're dealing with a nucleic acid, unless, of course, it's a phospholipid, which I just said it's not found in lipids. It's not found in lipids because a phospholipid has two parts. It has a hydrophilic area, has that phosphate on it, and it has a hydrophobic area, which we're going to talk more about this when we get to cells. But you can see here in this molecule, phosphorus is a very important component of this. It allows this to be attractive to water where this is not. And so it's found in cell membranes, very important in DNA again. Phosphorus, important. And then sulfur. Sulfur is an interesting element because it's only found in proteins, and it's only found in a couple of amino acids. Yet, the importance, the role that it takes in those proteins is essential because it forms a very strong bond called a disulfide bridge. And without those bridges, the molecule loses a lot of its integrity, which is going to affect its shape, which, as we just learned, affects its function. So sulfur, very important when building up proteins. We're not going to talk a whole lot about sulfur as an individual atom. We will talk about those disulfide bridges when we talk about proteins specifically, but that is the role that is going to have. And so if you see sulfur in an organic molecule, it is probably going to be an amino acid like you see here. So let's look at some biological applications. Obviously, we talked about macromolecules, right? Organisms are finding these elements in their environments through these nutrient cycles, which we'll talk a lot about when we get to Unit 8. These nutrients are found in the environment. Either they're found in other organisms and the organism consumes them. They're found in the atmosphere and an organism is able to somehow get those things out of the atmosphere and fix them. We're going to learn about fixation in other chapters or in other units as well. And so understand that these elements, these primary elements, are coming from the environment, either other organisms, the atmosphere, the ground, someplace, right? And they're cycling through their environments. Very important for energy flow and energy storage, particularly dealing with things like carbohydrates and lipids, less so with proteins and nucleic acids. The bonds that are formed by these carbon-based molecules are going to represent energy in living things, right? And the ability to build those bonds with a process like photosynthesis and the ability to break down those bonds and get the energy out of them is going to be like cellular respiration. It's going to be very important for living things. And then lastly, just general structural components. Cellular structure is dependent upon all of these elements that we talked about. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is the body's ability to sort of maintain its normal, right? And so all of these things, all of these pieces here are going to be directly tied to the elements that we just talked about, and the body's ability to maintain its normal, whether it's our body or a frog or a sunflower or whatever it is going to be dependent upon being able to have these elements available to them. Let's look at some practice. So take a minute, read this question, pause the video, and then we'll answer it. All right, so here we are. Which of the following best explains why nitrogen and phosphorus are essential for survival of living things? We talked about this, didn't we? Carbohydrates require nitrogen and phosphorus. They don't. Nitrogen is a major component of monosaccharides. Monosaccharide is a carbohydrate. Phosphorus provides, no, we're already done here, right? We don't even need to read the rest part of this because this is incorrect. We don't really know that today. You might have known that today. But we talked about phosphorus. Energy is not part of what it's doing. And so this is just off. Nitrogen is required for formation of amino acids. Okay, we're on the right track. And nucleotides. Okay, we're on the right track. Nucleic acids. Phosphorus is a component of nucleotides and phospholipids. C is the correct answer. We're not even going to look at D. Boop. There it is. Hopefully this practice was helpful. We're going to do 1.3 really quickly, so take a look at it. Thank you.